Can we talk about the online petition? So David Demars used to always talk about Shane's Law, which was an online petition basically to kind of prevent cyberbullying. Apparently Shane was a man who killed himself. Right. So now I'm pretty sure the Shane's Law people asked David to stop promoting it because they've watched some videos and realized that he's a fraud. So now he's written up his own petition, which is, it's super simple to write a petition. It's not really anything to, like my 14-year-old does this kind of thing all the time. But anyhow, so he's super proud of his petition. It's about online cyberbullying, essentially, and stopping online cyberbullying. So what would your thoughts be on that? Knowing who he is and what he does, what are your thoughts on him being the face of an online cyberbullying petition?
He is the cyberbully. He's the one doing it. And he will not, of course, he's not going to say that it's him, but it is him. Because his need to put it, a cyberbully thing out there, and his need to keep on about it with Val, and his need to have recognition is what's driving this.
It's his way of camouflaging. Ted Bundy worked for the Samaritans, for goodness sake. So that says it all. Do you know what I mean? Just because you're a nice person, it doesn't mean, he says this in his own videos, that you can't be bad. Well, he's saying that about himself. He comes across and portrays a nice person. And I said in my last video, bad people and evil people don't wear like cloaks and daggers and they're good people. Narcissists,
the bad guys don't always wear black.
It means hiding. It means being something, especially covert narcissist. It means hiding behind something to portray a good image so that you can then abuse and no one would look twice at you. I'm not comparing him with Jimmy Savile, but that's the extreme end. Jimmy Savile died having been basically laid to rest in a gold coffin. People worship the man because, he was the one that was making millions for hospitals, charity work. He was amazing at the time. And then when he died, it all came out that he was the worst. That's the extreme end, is the fact that he was such a popular, amazing gift giving and made money for the ill and the dying and the hospital children. And yet the other side, that's why he did that, so that he could be the other person in the shadow. And the same
David
thing
seems to really resent his clients as well. That's the other thing I noticed. Like he really resents these people, his viewers and his clients, from everything you said. It just sounds like there's real resentment there. Does he seem to? And he's mentioned being a celebrity as well. He seems to think that he's quite famous. Did he ever mention that kind of thing to you?
That was one of the things he told me when he first was talking to me, that he's an online celebrity, and I was like, I really didn't know what that was. Never heard of that. And, but that's what he told me that he was. And one thing I want to point out, being around David from day to day is difficult. He's never happy. He doesn't smile. When he works on things, he gets mad, throws stuff down, says it's defective. I saw him do that like 4 times or 5, trying to make, put stuff together. He's very angry. He gets up in a bad mood. He's just really hard to be around on a day-to-day basis because he has so much anger. He's so angry and it's so obvious.
Yeah, so that's really interesting too. Huge red flag.
He told me that he was sexually abused, and I was like, well, how? What do you mean? He told me that his mother, his stepmother, she was a model. So he said she was hot. That's what he told me. She was hot. And he said she was really good looking. And then he claims that when she would be like naked or getting out of the shower or something like that, she would leave the bedroom door open and to let him kind of look in on her. Because David was the oldest of all the kids. So he was already a teenager then. And he said that she just kept doing it until he finally said, well, hey, okay, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to look. So he used to look at her and peek at her naked and, different provocative positions, maybe bending over, or he told me, so I just started looking if that's how she wanted it to be.
I remember him talking about Ron Demars. I remember him talking about as a child, in one of his videos, I don't know if he's taken it down or not, but I remember him saying that as a child, he was under the bed when his father and a woman, he just called it a woman, were having sex. Did he ever mention that to you, or did he speak about that?
I don't know of a situation, and I wasn't there. I don't know for sure. He told me that he was about 4 years old and his dad was messing around. He was in a hotel room one time with a girl when David was right there. But, the story kind of doesn't really make sense to me. And I didn't bring that up with his parents because I'm sure that would have been devastating to them. I mean, they were already concerned that I didn't think he had a terrible life. They were very concerned about that. So why would they bring, I didn't want to bring that up to them.
It doesn't even sound plausible. It sounds like maybe he accidentally got caught out underneath the bed, maybe he was hiding or something, and he's mixed two stories together or something. It doesn't sound, from what you've said about his adopted family, and from the emails or texts that you've shown us from Ron, he seems like a very sweet man and genuinely just a genuine person who had genuine feelings of love and concern for his son, his adopted son. And by the sounds of it, David had everything handed to him on a silver platter.
And they tried their best.
They absolutely tried their very best. He sounds like he's super ungrateful, spiteful, insecure, paranoid, jealous. He just sounds, he really is such a nasty piece of work. It's fascinating to me how he's crafted this illusion. You mentioned that he was institutionalized as a teenager. Were drugs involved, and does he still use drugs?
Yes. I know that he had told me that he was the #1 dealer in Portland and that he was turning against some of the big dealers and turning them into the cops because some girl that he saw get raped. He didn't help her, but he turned them into the cops, and that he was helping get all these guys busted. Now, I don't know about that story, but he told me he was a #1 drug dealer. But I know that I told his dad that too, because when he was institutionalized, drugs were a part of it. It was his behavior, drugs, not going to school. That was another major thing. His dad told me that they couldn't get him to go to school. He was skipping school all the time. And so they tried to put him in a facility to get him back on track, because they said that he was a really lovely child until he, became like, I think around 10 or something is when he started changing. So that's why he was institutionalized, because his dad, they were trying to help. They went to all the meetings at the hospital, the parent-child meetings, and he never told me that.
The story, Val, the story that Shawn just said about the sexual, that woman being raped. He was in the room. He mentioned that in one of his earlier videos.
He mentioned that in a very early video. You see, this is what I'll bring up. People won't believe me because he deletes everything. Now, basically, we can tally with each other then, because you just confirmed something for me, and I'll confirm what he said to you. That he actually, one of his first videos when he was Crazy Narcissist ex-girlfriend, he was talking about being in a room full of people, men, and they're all drunk. And there was a girl, whether they drugged her up or got her drunk, but David said that she was so drunk she couldn't control herself, and these men bent her over the sofa, and this is what his words were, that because I don't use the word panties, we say knickers in England. He said they pulled her panties down and raped her from behind, and he just stood and watched. Now you've just said the same thing, so there you go. We've just basically validated each other then. I mean, that's once he went to the police and reported it, and apparently he was supposed to be helping the police to have. If he was helping, they wouldn't have let it go as far as to rape a girl. If he was meant to be some kind of, what's the word when they a mole?
An undercover police agent.
There's no way that they would get as far to watching a girl get raped, get drugged up and raped over the back of a sofa. So I don't believe anything to do with all that sort of police thing, because there's no way a policeman would let them go that far. I think that was a party that got out of hand. My own opinion, doesn't mean it's true. And he didn't say, I think he apparently left the room because he felt sickened or something. But that's still. No, I'm just disgusted. I'm disgusted.
Yeah. The fact that he did not help her. No. I don't care how many guys there. I don't care what. If I was in there as a female, I would be saying, y'all stop this. This is wrong.
I'm fighting to get them off. Even if they hit me and push me. Too. Don't just stand there.
Exactly.
This man is portraying empathy and love to everybody on his half an hour videos a week. And this is who they are really watching. They do not understand who David really is. This is who David is. He will watch someone get raped and do nothing.
He doesn't give a shit. And that's what it goes. He doesn't give a shit. You love yourself or not. He doesn't care. Just keep the money. And people are donating to him. I'm like, what? Are you kidding? Just because he makes some comments and answers your questions, you're donating? He's a scam. He's a scam.
He is. What they're doing is he's supplying them with the attention and love and the validation that these people need. They're looking for some kind of somewhere to belong, and David's giving them somewhere to belong. So they feed David with, David, you're great. Thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for asking my question. And he feeds them back. My pleasure. You're amazing. You keep on fighting. You get strong. And they're a symbiotic relationship where they're both gaining supply off each other. And that's why they don't want anybody like me coming in and disrupting that, because they both need each other. David needs supply off his victims, and his victims need that grooming and that love and that adoration of David, the love bombing. And they're quite happy to live along like that. It's obvious.
And you're the inconvenient truth. They absolutely don't want to hear it.
And he's using his subscribers to abuse me. He needs to help these people in his comments box, but he plays along with them, and that's just using and playing with his subscribers to make a scenario and a narrative that and we're all bad people out here. He needs to protect his subscribers. And it's very hard to explain.
He does that. He thinks everybody wants to have a relationship with him. He thinks everybody just wants him. And, he's just a little peepsqueak. And that's how I look at it. He has nothing to offer. Nothing. I mean, he never even came and got the rest of his stuff. Bear in mind, I want to say, all I charged him was $200 a month to stay at my house. He didn't have a fork. He didn't have a towel. He had nothing. And he still doesn't. So he didn't even come get his items. He tried to come over with the police twice, which I just laughed at him. Like, really? You're trying to make it on your terms. I offered to take his stuff to him. I offered to meet him somewhere. He wouldn't even talk to me. And that's why I sent him that last text that said, for somebody that's so arrogant, because he's arrogant, I said, who doesn't have anything to his name, and all the items that you have in your life are in my closet, and you won't even communicate with me to get them back. And I told him that. And the police told me that after 30 days, because he left, I didn't kick him out per se, he left, that I don't have an obligation after 30 days and I could get rid of it all. And that's exactly what I did. And I told him.
It sounds like he just took advantage of you. It sounds like he disrespected you in your own home, took advantage of you. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned that you had come into some money before he even turned up. I still want to know, just want to clarify. I just still want to know, what made him come and live with you? Like, what? I know you said it went bad in Las Vegas, but what actually happened? Do you know?
Yeah, well, because, when he left Las Vegas and he was going to have that girlfriend, he had him to live together in Florida, and that didn't pan out. Well, what happened, she made good money. What happened was, so he flew there, had no money, stayed in a B&B for about a week, and he was trying to find some place to live, and he never could find any place that he could afford. So that's what happened. And she bailed on him because she didn't want anything to do with him. And so he was stuck there. He couldn't make, he doesn't make enough money to live like he wants to live. And at one point, he was living in this really, like he said, it was so disgusting with roaches and rats and all this kind of a place that I wanted to come see him. He wouldn't let me. He said, no. I mean, I don't have to live in a fancy place. Don't get me wrong. My house is not like a mansion or nothing. But, I've stayed in seedy hotels before, but from what I'm not going to live in one. And that's what he was doing. He was living in this really bad place he didn't want me to see. He told me that. He said, no, you just couldn't come here. I don't want you to see. And so he moved around like 4 times there. And, finally he called me up and just said, look, I'm going to take your offer. Because I had said a couple times to come here and, so that's how that happened.
So it seems to me like he just takes advantage of women when he needs somewhere to live, by the sounds of things.
I believe
very,
he went
very
to California.
You think he's in California with his latest woman?
Yeah.
It seems to me, the video looks like it's in someone's bathroom.
Yeah.
It looks like a bathroom stall with the decals on the wall. And I think you think the same thing though.
Why is he sitting right in front of a doorknob? It's a bathroom. He's never had an office. He's not going to have an office. He's told his client he's getting a new office in a month. He's crazy. No, and it's okay. So what? He threw out his bedroom, but
he's future fate. Apparently, he was going to be in a documentary about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He said he was going to be in a film and a documentary. Apparently, he's going to do interviews with other people who are also not very good people to be interviewing with. That's another story. And he's written a book. Apparently, that's how he advertises himself. He's a writer. Has he written a book?
A writer and a film producer is what he calls himself.
A producer and a writer. Has he ever produced a film or written a book? Do you know of this, Shawn? Has he mentioned it? Because if he had, he would have mentioned it to you.
He told me that eventually he wanted to write a book about his life. Okay, so to get it published, you have to have a publisher too. Yeah. So he's never done that. I'm producing a video right now, I guess. He's never produced a video.
Yeah, he's just one of these people.
The whole thing is a fraud.
when your life isn't what you want it to be, you have to lie. I mean, I don't lie about who I am because I'm quite pleased and proud of what I've got and what I am and where I live. It's not perfect, but I don't embellish. David embellishes the abuse of me by, oh, she's made 1,000 videos. She's got 5 victims and everything is an embellishment. You know, I'm going to be in a documentary. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. David is so unhappy and so hasn't got what he wants in life, because we're just proving it tonight, that he lies and portrays an image of a very charming, successful man who travels around and da-da-da. He's not that, but you have to lie and pretend, and you live in a world of fake reality. Fantasy. It must be so hard for him to do that, to be lying continuously about who he is. Because you could do it for an hour on a video a week. You can portray yourself, but for an hour, we can all pretend who we are. But I tell you what, longer than that, he's not going to do it. You can't.
Can we actually finish up on the red flags? Because we did touch on it before, but I just want to really kind of, once again, when you first met David, you know, did you see the red flags in the fact that he didn't have connections with his family, he didn't have friends, didn't have money, didn't have a job, a car, home, a girlfriend, ex-wife, children?
Nothing.
Those kind of red flags, like at the time you didn't pick up on them, obviously, because, you know, you were just excited to meet him. But were there other red flags now, looking back, that you missed and you would like to point out to other people? Because there are people who still love Dr. David.
I was very taken aback how manipulating he was and how he could persuade people with his personality to think like him. It was pretty shocking to me because he was doing things, you know, like with my family and stuff, trying to get me to leave them, as I said before, and, you know, things like that, even my grandbaby. So, yeah, there were some red flags. But, you know, I thought, well, maybe I'm imagining it, you know, how you say that. And, you know, he would get mad and just snap at me, like when he snapped at me, you know, going out the door and said, I wish you'd quit dogging me. I mean, it was just hateful. He could be just hateful. And at the beginning, he wasn't really like that. But as you got to know him, it came out. How hateful. He was very jealous too. Very, you know, jealous of Carly, jealous of me, jealous of Val, jealous of people, very jealous. So, you know, after a while I did see it because we went to Six Flags to see my grandbaby in her cheer performance. And David wasn't interested. He went to Six Flags and we didn't see him. He didn't make it for the show because he's out doing whatever he wants to do. And then when we got ready to leave afterwards, he was mad. We went to a very nice restaurant that my daughter was taking me to because it has a rock and roll theme. And he sat there totally no expression, no talking, nothing, wouldn't eat, wouldn't even let them bring him water because he was mad. And he was doing this in front of my grandbaby, who at the time was 7. And it was supposed to be her special day. And he just acted like a child. He's immature.
Sorry, that's shocking to do that in front of a child, like, and to be like that. Like that, the level of self-absorption is just off the Richter.
He cannot control his anger. He went to a Walmart and they were out of his beer during the pandemic. He got mad. He started flailing his arms, walking out the Walmart. I was in the car watching him come out the store, acting like an idiot. I'm never shopping here again because they don't have my beer. This store is fucked. I'm like, because they don't have his beer? Give me a break. They're trying to feed people when the trucks are stalled because there's freezes and there's pandemic. And he's worrying because he can't get his fucking beer.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, I had it.
So when you see, actually, I wanted to ask you this. When you see him on his videos, does it even look like David to you? Does he, or, you know, is he like that at all in real life?
No. When he's trying to preach to me or convince me of something, it sounds like him, but he's not genuine. It's all about him. And even he gets that from his clients, you know, that he counsels. But it's, you know, I don't get it. He's not genuine. And at the beginning, I kind of, you know, was taken in before I met him. You know, I was taken in by videos, but it wasn't long after that. Now when I watch him, I think he's such a fake. He's such a liar. I mean, he actually just lies about things like, but it makes a good story, you know? Oh, she this, oh, they this, you know? And he's a fake. I wish people would understand the reason I reached out when I didn't have to. I have no dog in this fight, but when I have no feelings for David. I have no bonding feelings for him. I have nothing for him. And when I saw what was happening to these other people, including Val, he sickens me. He totally, and the whole way he left my house, never said a fucking word to me. Just, darted out one morning trying to get out while he was asleep. Yeah, and he left he was so filthy. Oh my God, y'all. He was so filthy. He left his bathroom. It was gross. The toilet, everything, the floor. It was because, he just left a mess. Yeah. No respect.
Yeah.
No respect.
Yeah. Zero respect. And worse than respect, it's disrespect.
Like we were trying to tell him one day when we were on our trip up there to get up. We get up real early and go. Well, it was like 9 o'clock and he had been drinking and smoking pot all this the night before. And we usually leave like 6 or 7. And it was like 9 o'clock. I couldn't get him on the phone from his hotel room. Couldn't wake him up. Knocked on the door. I sent him a text. Hey, we're about ready to leave. It's about time to get going. And he sends me that ugly text that says, what am I, a dog or a child? Get up. It's time to get going. And he mocked what I said.
Before we leave today, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Shawn, or any warnings that you'd like to give or anything that you'd like to say?
The only thing I want to say is I really hope people have an open mind about this. I've been communicating with y'all for a little while, and I don't see anything in either one of you that David says. David has a lot of issues, tons of issues. He's a pathological liar, and he told me that he was a loner. He admitted to me he's a loner, and he's a minimalist, where he doesn't have to have anything. He doesn't have to pay for a car. He doesn't have to pay insurance. He doesn't have to pay all this stuff to do with maintenance on a car or a home or anything. And what he's doing is wrong, and what he's doing to Val is wrong.
Thank you for that, because I think it's important that, well, the Val hears it, but the other people also hear it. I think he's managed to really confuse people. Yeah, he's confused people about who the victim is and who the perpetrator is. And he's very good at covertly abusing Val. And as Val mentioned earlier, he always says, or when have you ever seen me say anything about her? When have I ever mentioned her name? I never speak about her. This is the longest I've ever spoken about her. I've never met this woman. I don't know this woman. She doesn't know me. I've never even spoken to her. Like, he just says the most outrageous, ridiculous
The abuse is the lies. The abuse is that she's a stalker. Well, that's a lie. So that's abuse. The fact that you are calling someone a stalker when they're not is defamation of character. The fact that, I've emailed him, I've made him get death threats, and the amount of disgusting lies the man's told about me, it's just horrendous. And it's actually him that's doing it. I find it just unbelievable. And can I just say one thing to you, Shawn, before we do go? I know that you've had a tough life thinking about David, right up until the moment you met him, thinking that you're going to get this image of this great boy, this great bloke that's grown up into a good, handsome, well-rounded person, and you ended up with David. And I've said this to you before, it must have been so upsetting to find that the person that you had an idea of, and you lived your life thinking about him and wondering about him and searching for him, and then you found him and you get David Demars, the person who's just disgustingly an abuser and a predator. And I just want to say that, I'm sorry that it didn't work out the way that you had hoped it. So
yeah, I second that too, Shawn. I think it's a really shitty, got a rough end of the stick there, dear.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir, but
I appreciate it, and I would not change it, because the not knowing, people that have family missing and stuff, the not knowing is worse than knowing. And the fact that because I gave him his armband, he never gave it back to me that I had since he was born. So that's my sign of that he's gone out of my life forever. I don't want anybody that toxic in my life.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that is very symbolic.
I hope we've been a support to you as well, because you've been a very big support to me and to Freedom.
I hope that
we've helped closure to what you've gone through, because I know you've helped closure to what I've gone through by validating me, and I do hope that we've brought something to you that you can look back on and think, well, okay, this didn't happen, but look what it got me in the end. And it there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I'm always a positive person like that, but I just hope that you've gained something out of this and it hasn't just soured you, and you're left with something good.
No, I just appreciate y'all you know, so much. It did help me. It helped me get through it because, you know, I'm thinking too, well, maybe I am like that. You know, I mean, you think you get like that, you know that. And so it's helped me a lot. And I've gained 2 fantastic friends. I just can't tell y'all. Mwah.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet, darling.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this today. We very much appreciate it.
All right. I'm
All
going to
right,
go.
darling.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you, bye.
Thank you. Love yourself first, guys. I'll see you again later. Bye-bye. Maybe not.